Hey guys, and welcome back to the podcast. It has been a hot minute since I recorded an episode, and that is actually because one, I was writing a book, which was taking a lot of time and energy, but also two, I was having a mentee B. And I don't know if it's because I'm nearing 30 and I'm just questioning my life and my existence, but I've definitely been going through it, which seems to be the theme of the past year, like hello Saturn return, if you're familiar with astrology. Either way, I feel like my life is just continuously blowing up, and in a way, I'm trying to find the positive in all that, and I'm also sharing this very vulnerably and openly because I know I'm not the only one that goes through times and heartbreak and job loss and all of the things. It's just a part of life, and it's definitely not easy, but knowing that there are people also going through it or have made it through it and having friends there that support you definitely can help. But yeah, writing the book was incredible, and I'm so excited to start that publishing process. And as for today's episode, we are going to talk about like what to do when your life blows up, basically. And yeah, like I said, it's one of those things that many of us have faced at one point or another, like those moments in life where you feel like everything is falling apart. And it's not even sometimes that you feel like it's falling apart, it quite literally is falling apart. Like so many things in my life have been stripped away from me, both last year and now again. And this is from relationships, people I love, jobs, security, you name it. And you know, when everything that once made sense suddenly feels like chaotic and out of your control, it's really hard to know what to do or know how to get your life back on track. And I am definitely in this. First off, like I want to say that if you are in the same space as me right now, like you are not alone. And I know this just from being so vulnerable with my friends. And, you know, I am fortunate to have good people in my life, but it definitely can feel isolating. And there's a lot of shame that can come up with when you feel like you don't have everything together and you feel like your life is unraveling. It's truly one of the hardest places to be in. But as I always say, it's a place where growth can begin. And even though it's hard to feel that right now, I know that everything that has fallen away from me in the past, like something else so much better has replaced it. And now it's just that uncomfortable part where a lot of those better things that replaced it have now also fallen away. So I wanted to talk to you guys and also talk to myself, I guess, in this podcast on like what to do when you feel like your life is falling apart. And it is hard because when your life falls apart, or so it seems, it makes you question like what you're doing, your purpose, what your future is going to look like, especially if you've gone through a relationship breakup or a loss of someone and you have maybe thought of a future with them or dreamed of a future with them, and now you're in this space and place where you no longer have them in your life. So you're now trying to reorientate yourself as to what your future will look like. And it's also really hard in those situations because you don't necessarily want another life. And I think that's what I'm truly sitting with at the minute, and just being in that emotion and that feeling of, you know, maybe I don't want anyone else, that's the life I wanted, or that's the person I wanted. And having to radically accept that is difficult. And also in terms of just like, maybe, you know, you feel lost or you don't know what your purpose is, and it's difficult because you don't know how to make the next step or what the next step or right choice is, because you don't have a clear direction on what it is you're meant to be doing. Or maybe you thought you were doing something that you were meant to do. I'll use myself as an example, that I thought, okay, I'm, you know, working in an office and I'm doing marketing and I'm bettering my career and I'm setting myself up financially, which is so different from my previous life, that I thought I was doing all the right things. And yet again, I have come to this place where, you know, that job is no longer mine. And, you know, I will say getting fired 3 times in the space of a year is rough for, you know, anyone, but, you know, having to, you know, deal with that and also just like figure out now what I'm meant to be doing, it's very difficult. So yeah, I just wanted to say, if you're in it, so am I. But the one thing that's really helped me just like in the last couple of days and weeks is like acknowledging the fact that I feel something and acknowledging the pain and not trying to deny myself of how I'm actually feeling. It's like everything is crumbling around me, literally, but it's also okay. Like, I have to continuously tell myself, and this is something I really encourage someone else to do if they're going through it, is to also just like, you know, reiterate to yourself that everything is going to be okay, and everything that has fallen apart before, like, you've been able to rebuild yourself. Because we live in this society that pushes us to be positive and strong all the time and boss babes and like have your life together. But you know, there's also strength in just admitting that things aren't okay. And, you know, I'm not shy in when someone says to me, oh, how are you? I'll turn around and say, I'm not okay. Like, I'm not doing well. And I think there is strength in that. And it's not shaming yourself. It's giving yourself permission to feel all of your emotions without rushing to fix or dismiss them. And I have been guilty of this. Like, I'm navigating a heartbreak and I got my eyelashes done so I wouldn't cry. And I think there's a moment where you have to let your emotions flow. And then there's also a moment where you really have to just like, you know, try and put yourself first and take care of yourself and make yourself happy, because you might feel the anger and the sadness and the fear and the confusion, and especially sometimes all at once. And that's okay, but it's how you move through it. Another thing that has definitely helped me, especially when life feels so overwhelming, to the point that like everything seems to be going wrong at once. Like, it's the boyfriend, it's the house, it's the money, it's the job, it's just, you know, one thing after the other. And when life feels overwhelming, we just see it as one big, giant, intimidating mess. And to take back some control, it's easy to break things down. And what I actually did was I wrote a bullet point list of like everything that was wrong. And it was super confronting. But what this did was it showed me all of the key things, and then I could take an action plan or like make a step-by-step plan on how I was going to resolve one thing after the other, at least the things that I could resolve or could start working towards. So this could be looking for a new job, or, you know, booking a therapy session, or I don't know, going to the dentist, getting my aircon fixed, whatever it is, all of these things that just seem so overwhelming, when you can kind of take them out of your mind and put them down on paper in front of you, you can see it as just small little things. And then you can also identify like anything that is like major, and then what you can do to help you overcome that, or the people you need to call in to support you on those things, because you don't have to do everything to like just by yourself. And I for sure have struggled in the past asking people for help, because I don't want to come across as a failure. But there's also, you know, something so comforting when people do step in and support you, because so many times in your life you would have stepped in and supported people, and we are all mirrors of each other. And in your pain, someone else will be able to see their pain. And for example, I was getting my nails done yesterday, and I was so vulnerable and crying over this loss of someone. And she just broke down as well, and she, you know, was able to talk to me about the loss of someone that she had lost in a relationship. And it was something that she was holding in, and had I not opened up, she wouldn't have been able to express her emotions. So I share that to invite you to also do the same if you're going through it, like not to hold it all in, and to really open up to the people that you trust. And that's going to lead me on to the little third thing I wanted to talk about, which is to reach out for support. And you know, you'll know those people that are there to support you and who you feel safe with, because I know myself, like when I'm going through something so heartbreaking or hard, I don't want to talk about it all the time, because it just brings up those emotions and those feelings. And I also don't want to put more energy into something that I don't necessarily have control over, especially the things I don't have control over, such as a relationship, because you can't control another person. And so, you know, it's easier sometimes to not focus on it and pretend that it's happening than it is to talk about it. But when you do, like when we do reach out to people, family, friends, a therapist, or online community, whatever it is, we are connecting with someone else. And it's actually truly that thing that we almost want, is we do actually want the kind of root of all these feelings is we want connection, we want love, we want support, and all of these things can make such a difference. Even if it necessarily isn't from the person you might want, it's still going to give you that emotional feeling of, oh, someone cares about me, or someone loves me, and someone's checking in. And someone doesn't know to check in on you unless you are the first person to say, like, hey, I'm not doing so good. And like I said, that's also okay. And for me right now, I'm trying to focus on the small things every single day that I can control, because when life feels like things aren't working in your favor, everything is falling apart around you, you have to focus on the small wins, the things that make you happy, like almost one of those like dopamine lists, or like a little list that you can make of the things that make you happy every single day, or things that make you feel good. Because when everything is going wrong, which truthfully in my life it truly is, it is easy to lose sight of those things and the things that are still good in your life. Like those small wins, no matter how tiny they might seem. For me, it was getting out of bed yesterday and going outside for a couple of minutes, or maybe you managed to eat something nutritious or take a deep breath, like celebrating these moments, because that's the sign of resilience that you need to show yourself. And it's a way of showing your soul that it's like you're still trying to move forward, even if it's just a tiny bit at the time. Because I shut down, I don't want to eat, I don't want to speak to people, I don't want to go outside when I'm going through things, and people would look at me as this super strong, fiery, independent woman, which I am, but equally I'm also navigating this human existence and adulting and all these emotions, and doing it quite literally by myself, and that's so challenging and so hard. So I've been trying to, go out of my way to book myself in for classes, like Pilates class, like spend time with my friends, go and get a coffee this morning, like something I just couldn't do, when I first received some bad news. I couldn't get out of bed, and it's really hard to show up and admit that you've got these kind of emotions and feelings, because it's raw. And there is that rawness that comes with life. It's the duality. Like you don't get to experience the highs and the joy and the love without also knowing what the pain and the sadness and the emptiness feels like. And so, yeah, this is where I'm at. It's a difficult one, and it definitely, like all podcast episodes or anything, I'm always typically inspired to share from a place of just embodiment of something that I'm going through, because I know that when I read quotes from people or I see posts and people are, real and share authentically, it helps me feel a little bit better about, me and just being a human. And I've been trying to reframe the narrative, because one powerful way to shift out of that hopelessness feeling and almost victim mentality in a way is to reframe the narrative. And it's definitely not gaslighting yourself and pretending that your feelings don't matter. But instead of seeing this period of my life as a breakdown, I'm trying to see it as a breakthrough. And it's a shift that can maybe help me find a deeper purpose to my life, even through the pain. And I've been asking myself, what is this teaching me? Like, how might this be guiding me to make changes that I wouldn't have considered otherwise? And I don't have the answers right now, and neither might you, but that's okay, because just planting the seed of growth is possible, that you might start changing your perspective on things and reframing that narrative. And I'm just looking at the job loss as maybe it was a sign that I wasn't meant to be doing that. And that's okay. Maybe my purpose is to do something else, and I needed to lose that and get uncomfortable to truly find that what that is. And actually, honestly speaking, the last time I lost my job was when I started writing my book. So it was inspired action based off a really unfortunate circumstance. And I truly believe that breakups and relationship losses or breaks or whatever it is a time where we can get to know ourselves a little bit better and love ourselves a little bit more and strengthen our relationship with self and our trust with the universe or God or whoever it is that you pray to. It's truly an opportunity to deepen our faith in what's meant for you won't miss you, and an opportunity to just know that you've got you no matter what. And like, you should put you first. I think that's where, that what's coming up is like, you have to put you first and be gentle with yourself, because when you are feeling fragile, like self-compassion is everything, because those emotions come up, whether it be a job loss or a relationship loss, that I'm not good enough, or why don't they want me, or why can't someone just choose me, or whatever the thought is. It's a limiting belief, but it's also can be a deep inner child wound, or something that's repeating itself from a past relationship. And it's your job to have that self-compassion and let yourself know that it's not true, and treat yourself the way you would want this person to treat you, or how you would treat a close friend who was going through the same tough time. And it's important to avoid the temptation to blame or criticize yourself for not having it all together, or for me, like blaming myself for not doing better in work and losing my job, and kind of having that talk like, oh, if I didn't, if I tried harder or did this, maybe I'd still have the job. Or in the relationship, I think I've been beating myself up for maybe speaking up about my feelings and my needs, and maybe this pushed the person away. And if I hadn't been so, I guess open-hearted and like full on and loving, like maybe it wouldn't have scared them. Or maybe if I was a little bit more harder to get, they would have chased me more. Like, all of these thoughts are so real, but yet not real at the same time. But I know many people have probably had that own conversation in their head with themselves. And yeah, it's just remembering that healing is not a linear journey. And some days you take 2 steps forward and you see that you're amazing and you're so strong and you're so proud of yourself. And then other days you take a step back and you start re-questioning yourself. And it's in those moments where you have to be the one to rewire the narrative and, almost have that like talk with yourself. Like, no, that's not true. Like, you showed up the best you could in that moment. And there's a Maya Angelou quote I've quoted before: when you know better, you do better. And so that is just an opportunity for you to next time learn from it. But also know you can be so proud of yourself if you stayed authentic to you despite it maybe not working out. So as long as you know that you were being you, then that's all you can ever ask of yourself. One thing I have learned in my own journey is that life often feels like it's falling apart before it falls into place. And yeah, then maybe it might fall apart again, but then, it's sort of kind of guiding you back into the path that you're meant to be on it if you veered off. And I know it's hard to believe when you are in the middle of it, because me too sis, but sometimes like our most profound transformation comes from the deepest struggles, like I said. And I know this to be true. Like, I am truly the woman that I am because of all the trials and tribulations and struggles that I've gone through. And I'm so sure and clear on myself and value myself as a woman and know my worth because of, the heartbreak that I've gone through or the toxic relationship. And now I'm so clear on the kind of energy that I want in my life, and trust that this period of your life, as painful as it is, has the potential to lead you into something new, something stronger, and something more aligned to who you truly are. Maybe that's the relationship or the job or whatever it is you're meant to be doing. And sometimes we have to lose the thing so we can create space for something even greater. And I guess in this process, I'm also deeply just trying to trust that what's meant to be will be. And I have to be the one that takes that step forward and aligns myself to what my intuition is guiding me to do, or when I feel like speaking my truth, to not be afraid and have that fear and shame, and just, put my heart out there and put myself out there and continue just to show up and not hide through the pain, and almost like use it as a stepping stone in life. So I really, sending my love to you if you're going through it like I am. You feel like your life is unraveling, know that you are not alone, and it's okay to grieve the loss of what you thought your life would be. But also just know that this isn't the end of your story. It's just a chapter that's leading you somewhere new. And I really realized this deeply when I was in my book writing process of all these different chapters in my life and how they all were leading me to here and now. And just be patient with yourself, and, understand that it's okay to not be okay, and take it one day, one moment, one breath at a time. So thank you so much for joining me in today's episode. I will be sharing another episode next week, so be sure to subscribe to the podcast on Spotify or Apple if you have not already. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode and took something from it. Bye.